Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to my channel. We are today, Thursday, December 5th, 2019. For today, we have a very particular topic discussion that I have not brought into my channel. I think I mentioned that little like topic in the videos that I made regarding adoption, in Haiti. However, I haven't really addressed it. I was debating with myself if I really wanted to talk about it, but just now, you guys know that I drink coffee in my morning and I like to drink my coffee in peace. So I was drinking coffee and I was going to write, but then I took my tablet and then a video popped up on my tablet of a woman and I wrote down the name. The topic, it was an envious friend is a dangerous enemy, and the person who made the video, her name is Cassandra Mark. So Cassandra Mack M-A-C-K. So when I started to watch her video, it resonated so much into my soul, and I've got so much from that I felt like it was a confirmation for me to come to you and speak of that particular topic. Now, for this purpose of this video, I do not have any note because unfortunately and sadly, the reason that I'm going to speak about it, I'm going to actually talk about it from a very personal perspective, because these are things that I have lived. These are things that my siblings have lived, and I just felt like I really wanted to bring this up. So what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about a phenomenon of Haiti that is called a Restavek. A Restavek is when people from poor families come to live, sometimes with relatives that are better off in the city. I always mention that too. So it's almost kind of like when, people who don't have enough money to take care of their children. You do realize also in Haiti that unfortunately people who are the most vulnerable people are the most people with many children. So what happened is a lot of times these people, they have many children, but they are really financially unable to take care of these kids. So these are the kids sometimes who end up on the streets. They end up being raped. They end up being all type of like tumultuous or horrific conditions happen to these kids, But for today, I am going to talk about it from a very different perspective. I am going to talk about it from the perspective of someone who offers a home to children like this, at-risk children, or I don't want to say at-risk, from children with poor family. So why am I speaking about that, and why am I going to bring it? Well, I'm going to have to be very honest and tell you that in my 36 years of my entire life that I have lived, my mother has always opened her door to either relatives of hers who were, not really, financially stable, and she wanted to take them in, or many times she opened her doors to, some of these children. So these were children who were from different places of Haiti. We had a lady who I grew up with. She was from the north side of Haiti. She was from Cap Haitien. There is actually one of the young woman who lives here. She's from La Tibonite. And there was another one from Uganda. So they come from various places. And a lot of times, it's kind of like when you are well-to-do and you just feel like you might want to offer a place to some of these kids, there are people who are there that you can address and say things like, hey, you know what, I'm looking for a child, can you let me? Now, these children, you're going to probably, for those of you who might be very alarmed, because it's kind of like, what, I can just come to Haiti and I can just ask someone for a child and they're going to give it to me? Unfortunately, yes. Because what I said to you is that a lot of this time, these people, these families, they are unable to financially take care of these kids, right? The second thing, we must also understand that in Haiti, there is no such thing as the law. Although there are laws, but it's so corrupt, or the amount of money that you would need to go to a process of adoption or things of the sort. So a lot of the people just ask for these kids to be placed in their homes. Now, what is the treatment that these children are subject to? Well, a lot of the treatment that these children are subject to are very harsh treatment. A lot of times, whether they come and they stay with family members or whether they are placed with strangers, they are the cause of all type of atrocious things that you can think about. They are beaten, they are raped, sometimes they are raped within the house. They have to get up early in the morning, they have to do the house chore, they have to make sure that the house is clean. So basically they are child slave, right? So now, why am I talking about it from a different perspective? Well, because I mentioned to you that I was raised with, I'm going to say unfortunately, a mother who probably has a different way of seeing things, that all of us, my siblings, we've realized that it has done a lot more harm than good. And so not only our family, meaning all of us sisters, but also to my mom. And why is this reason, and why am I bringing this up? Well, I am bringing this up at this present moment because I believe that I spent the entire year and I was able to overlook a lot of things that happened in this house. I was able to stay focused and I was able to just make sure that I kept my sanity. However, I got to the point, sadly, at the end of the year to realize that I felt like I wanted to speak about certain things that are just not right? So currently we have two young women who are living here in this house. So one of them is my mother's godchild. Now, her mother used to take care of my youngest sister, and she passed away. And before she passed away, of course, my mother was her godmother. But in all fairness, she is the most ungrateful person that I have ever witnessed. Very, very arrogant, very entitled, and just very, very, very envious, right? I have never gotten along with her from the time that I was, she came to the house when I was a child, but then, I stayed in the States for quite a long time. So when I came back to Haiti nearly 5 years ago, me and her, we just could not get along. And that ended up with a lot of physical altercation between she and I, right? Now, my parents being who they are, they always judge fairly, but they never let her go. They never let her go because they felt like, if they let her go, then what would have come of her? Because of course you realize that not only is she from families who would probably not be able to put her to school, but these people also, a lot of times, they don't have this mentality of pushing girls to finish their education. They don't. She's currently living with us. She's 25. At that particular age, trust me, if her own mother was alive, she would have been out on the streets or being a mother. So today, the perspective that I'm going to talk is the perspective of opening your house to people and the danger that it can cause to you and to your family. I'm trying to find my words to convey my message without it being too biased, right? Now, the thing with bringing people into your house, right? The first thing that you have to realize is that whether we like it or not, right? Whether my mom wants to say things whether we can sit here and debate whether they are Restavek in this house or not, because they go to school, because they have paid for college, because they technically do not get mistreated being they don't get raped, they don't get unfair treatment. In their eyes, they are what? They are extremely resentful. Yes. In their eyes, these people that, I grew up with, they've always left our home bitter, resentful, and with a lot of hatred toward my mother and her children. It always ended up that way. It never ended up with a lot of gratitude, with a lot of thank yous to my mom because she raised them, she put them to school. It just never ended up like that. It always ended up with them saying things like, my mother did this for her kids, my mother did not did this for them. So they never understood the fact that it was sort of like people taking you in and doing so much for you that your own family could have never done. They never saw it in that way. Now, where does my problem comes? My problem comes to the fact that I do not understand. And for the life of me, whether I sit and I could speak to my mother about the fact that it's not so much that the action that she's doing is not good, but to me, it's so much that the approach to the action is not good. Why? Opening your home to people, if you are going to open your home to people, then there is a certain level of equalness that should be in your house. But it's never going to be like this, because some people will favor their own child. Now, resentment is a very, very, very powerful thing. Envy, hatred, when people have a lot of things in their heart for you, when people feel that weren't it for you, they would have never been in this place. Because you not only have to remind yourself that a lot of the times they come into our home very young. So a lot of them came around 7, the most 12, 13. So fairly young, 12, 13 is not so young, but 7 is pretty young. And the ones that the little girl that we have right now, she's 14. When I tell you that I have never seen someone fight so hard not to be in this house, right? Doing like the most so that my mom could feel like, okay, you know what? I just feel like I can't take it anymore. You need to go home. No, she's not going to do that. Not only is she's not going to do that, her own parents are reluctant and do not want her to come back. So this problem, when I bring these things up, they hit me. Right, a lot of these issues that I can talk about, it hits close to home. Because what is the situation here currently right now? I'm at this point where I feel like, okay, what is the point and what is the purpose of doing what you're doing when it's doing more harm than good? When you're trying to help people, you're putting them to school, you're doing things that their own family members would have never done for them, but there is no thank you. There is no gratefulness, because the person has a lot of resentment. The person has a lot of resentment towards you because they hate you. They feel like you took them away from their own family members. Now, in 2015, now there's I don't want to go and I don't want to start, because I don't want to go and I don't want to start telling you about the many stories that happen here in this house, because I feel like it would just kind of like take away the purpose of this video. But I should probably do that, because the purpose of this video is to show you how a lot of times you're trying to do good for people, and a lot of times it is the hands that feed you that get beaten, right? It is the people that you're trying to help the most that try to not only hinder you, but they'll try their hardest as well to harm your own children, right? 5 years ago, one of the ladies who was here, right? So she came in also when she was 7, I remembered, and she grew up with us. Now, she was always extremely quiet, right? She was one, I really loved her because I always felt like she was not disrespectful. It's kind of like she was one of the people that she just took everything in. However, now I'm realizing that everything that she took in, it was bulk up. She never spoke about it because she probably didn't know how to defend herself. She probably didn't know like how to express herself, like how to tell herself like, okay, you know what? Why am I here? Why do I, like, there was never like that. Plus her family was really, really from poverty. So they were unable to visit her. They were unable to take her in, not even for the summer vacation. Because it was very, very, horrible for them. But I remembered when I came back in 2009, right? So that's why we saw, at the time coming back in 2009, I was 26, and I think she was like 19, 20, because she's around the same age as my youngest. So that was the age that she was. When we started, I always favored her. But the thing with her is her aptitude wasn't really in academia. Now you understand that one of the things with my mom is that she likes to push people toward mostly academia, right? That one, she we're gonna call her M. So M wasn't really focused on academia. M was mostly aesthetic person, like she loved aesthetic and things like that. But she also felt in me, I felt like she also felt like her only way out from living here would be to, get pregnant, which is exactly what happened. Despite everything, despite having to send her off to study in the Dominican Republic, that's where my mother sent her off to study. When she came back, she got a job at one of the top hotels through my father's connection. Within 3 months, she was pregnant, and the guy vanished. We had no sort of clue of who the hell he was, right? I felt like, so I remembered her entire pregnancy, she was here with us. The first shock threw us off, but a baby is a baby, so we warm up, as her belly was growing, all of us, and then she was going to have a little girl. So we all kind of like, just as sisters, we warmed up to the fact that a new baby was going to come. Now I remember that summer, she was due probably like around July, August. My mother was flying out. So you understand that everybody's out of the house. It's only me who comes and stay at times. My father was very reluctant to have her stay and have her give birth here, like in Port-au-Prince, because he said to my mom he was tired. He told my mom, like, I'm tired. I'm not going to have to get up in the middle of the night. I just don't want to have to put myself through that. So what my mom did is my mom contacted my sister, my older sister, because they wanted to figure out, like, if they sent her home, if she was going to have the best care treatment. The thing with her is I remembered asking her, because I have a lot of contact, like in where she's from, which is Milagwan. I have a lot of contact there. And I kept asking her, like, is your family going to be able to, like, she was so fond. She said, oh no, you don't have to worry about anything. My mom is going to take care of everything. I have an aunt who's a midwife. Like, I'm going to be in great care. The way she portrayed, the way she made me feel with this situation, I felt like, they got it. Like, they were not rich or anything, but they knew that she was coming. They knew that, the pregnancy, she was going to, everything was good. I remembered my parents sending her off with everything that you can think that a newborn could need. My goodness, we sent her off with anything that you can think a newborn could have. Tell me why the baby died. The baby died, and I do blame her. Why? Because when I started to listen to the stories, is the fact that she doesn't even live in the city where she said that she's from. She lives like further away. Like, the guy that my mom sent with her said that when they got to the town, like the town, they had to take a motorcycle who drove for an hour to her place. It was totally desert. There were no hospital. There was no nothing. So how did she end up losing her baby? It looks like she got into labor in the middle of the night. But the thing with her is, like, she was I don't want to say strange. She had like a certain endurance with pain, right? She had a certain endurance with pain, and the way that anything could, happen, it would not faze her physically, right? So I do remembered that they said she was in labor in the middle of the night, but she never said anything. I guess she stood in the room and she just took on the pain, not until it was unbearable for her. So that's when it was too late, because it was in the middle of the wee hours of the night. So there was no car, there was no motorcycle, there was no means of transportation. She had to walk. They were trying to walk her down from her village to come down. She couldn't take it anymore, because she was like about to push the baby out. So in the middle of the road, she pushed the baby out. But when the baby came out, they said that the baby stopped breathing as she was like in the canal, like as she was pushing that baby, the baby came, not only the baby was not breathing, but the umbilical cord was like thrown around the baby. So I remembered when we heard this, I was personally devastated, because I remember when she was pregnant, I used to take walks with her. I would just like try to cheer her up, telling her that it was really not the end of the world because the baby daddy vanished. And I even said to her, I remember saying to her, you know what, as a matter of fact, once you have the baby, we are going to wait until the baby is a little older. Then you come in, you're gonna see the baby, your child's father. He's gonna come around, because like knowing a Haitian man, no Haitian man is gonna go without, like, even when they don't want to take care of their babies, they're gonna want to know like what their babies look like. You know what I mean? So I was like, he's gonna come around. Once he sees that we don't pay him no mind, trust me, he's gonna come around. So I would cheer her up and things of this sort. But one thing that led to another is I remember when we called her after we heard that she left, like she did, the baby passed away. I remember like it was really in this corner, like my mom was sitting here in this chair, my father was standing right there, I was sitting right there, and we were all using the telephone to talk to her. When I spoke to her, guys, she was cold on the telephone. There was no emotions. She was cold. When I tell you she was cold, there were no emotion in her voice. She didn't to me, I felt like she gave me no room. I felt like she gave me no room to really comfort her, because there was no emotion coming from her. And I didn't say anything. I remember my father speaking to her, anything. She didn't say anything. And then, we left it at that. But I remembered afterwards speaking to my oldest, and I was like, did you speak to so-and-so on the telephone? This is why my oldest says, no, I haven't spoken to her, because the thing with it is like, for some reason, for one thing or another, throughout the pregnancy, she never spoke to my older sister. She did not address my older sister. I don't understand personally what I felt, because at the time, the lady who was caring for our house here was the ex-lady who used to take care of my nephew. So I'm going to assume that maybe my oldest had a particular conversation in her house regarding her being pregnant and stuff like that, and that lady told her that. Because there's no way for her to stay and never speak to my oldest, when it's kind of like my oldest really helped and everything for the baby, right? Let's stop right there, because it's already 25 minutes, and then we'll do part 2.